If you're shopping for your first telescope, stop. And if you already own a reflecting telescope that is experiencing soft images at the eyepiece that have never quite lived up to what was promised on the box, you need to hear this too. There's a specific telescope design that manufacturers sell specifically to beginners without telling them what it actually is. In 15 years of helping people at star parties, it's one of the most common reasons I've watched beginners become frustrated in this hobby. Today, I'm exposing it. I see this story unfold at least once or twice every year during my local astronomy club's summer telescope help sessions. A person shows up and has what appears to be a brand new reflecting telescope and says that they have blurry images. Usually they're blaming the eyepiece because they think that that's a simple upgrade that they can add that will fix everything. But effectively, they can't get a sharp image no matter what they do. Usually, the first thing that I'll do is check the collimation or the optical alignment of the mirrors, because if that's out of whack, the image will never get to be sharp. And it's almost always off. But after taking a few minutes to adjust it within what is a reasonable tolerance, the image is better, but it's still soft and out of focus. After a few years of doing this, I started to notice a trend. These are always short tube reflectors, also known as Newtonians, that are geared specifically to beginners. Upon further investigation, they always have what appears to be a lens that is integrated into the focuser. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what this is, and you'll be able to identify one of these scopes in under 10 seconds, which should save you before you buy it or before someone you know does. So let's lay some groundwork first. A Newtonian reflector is a very common telescope design. It uses a curved primary mirror to focus incoming light that then is directed at a diagonal secondary mirror that then projects the light out of the tube through the eyepiece where you can view it. Typically, the mirror is ground into the shape of a parabola, which is sort of like an arch shape. What we have in these examples I'm talking about is a derivative of a Newtonian telescope that is often called a Bird-Jones design. A Bird-Jones telescope uses a spherical mirror instead of a parabola, and also has to have a corrector lens of some sort set into the focuser. These are not equivalents. On your screen is an exaggerated example of how a parabolic optic is different from a spherical one and how they come to focus. Notice how the focal points in the spherical example are spread out and kind of smeared. This is why you get the soft image that you see in a Bird-Jones design. Bird-Jones telescopes, though, use that additional lens, and it is designed to correct for this, although it is far from perfect. Now, enthusiasts will debate exactly what to call these designs, and I'm not here to try and settle that argument. The telescopes I'm talking about are the ones that beginners are actually buying, and the headaches that they are experiencing are exactly the same no matter what you call them. So let's talk about some of the practical implications of this telescope design. First and foremost, the spherical mirror introduces spherical aberrations, which is a fancy word for saying that the image at the eyepiece is less focused or softer, and this is due to that drawn-out focal point that we saw in the example. They also have poor edge of field performance. This means when you're looking at an object in the eyepiece, as it drifts more towards the edge, the image will break down even more and more. Furthermore, these are notoriously difficult to collimate well, which further contributes to the soft image that you experience at the eyepiece. Adding insult to injury, these are often sold to beginners who don't even know what they're buying. On the spec sheet, these telescopes have long focal lengths, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it means that the views in them are a narrower field of view and presented at a higher magnification. So one of these telescopes will not get wide field views that many Newtonians are known for. To make things worse, that weak focus that is inherent to this telescope design makes a telescope that should be a very strong, high magnification planetary performer into an absolute weakness. Essentially, these are not good at anything at all. And because these are entry-level telescopes, they almost always come with garbage mounts. That means that it's difficult to locate objects in the sky and track them over time. Coupling the narrower field of view that comes from a longer focal length telescope and the imprecise tracking of that wobbling mount makes these telescopes absolutely infuriating to use no matter how many years of experience you have. I like to think of it as trying to read a book while looking through a drinking straw on a school bus that's driving down a gravel road. All it's going to do is frustrate you and be not productive at all. So if these are so frustrating for the end users, why are manufacturers continuing to make them? It's because they solve a real problem for the manufacturers. These spherical mirrors are cheaper to manufacture and the compact tubes are cheaper to ship. So on paper, the specifications look fantastic, but the problem is that the observing experience that you get at the eyepiece rarely matches what's on the spec sheet. Oftentimes, when you're fighting these blurry views, you will blame yourself, you'll blame your eyesight or your eyepiece, and you'll think that you're just doing it wrong. But I'm here to tell you, you aren't. You were set up to fail. So how can you tell quickly if you've got one? Manufacturers will sell these as Newtonian reflectors, and they aren't completely lying because it's a derivative of that design. If you have one in front of you, look inside the focuser, and if you see that there's a lens in there, that is a dead giveaway for the Bird-Jones design. It's also easy to tell if you're just browsing online by checking the specs. Very simply, all you have to do is compare the focal length of the telescope to the physical dimensions of the telescope tube. If the focal length of the telescope is longer than the tube, then you know that you have a Bird-Jones design telescope. So I did some real-life browsing on the website of a major telescope retailer and found a $300 telescope from a premier, well-respected manufacturer. It had an aperture of 114 millimeters and was f9, so it had a focal length of 1,000 millimeters. They had the tube length, though, listed at 24 inches, and so focal length of 1,000 millimeters is longer than the physical tube of 610 millimeters. The only way that you can fit 1,000 millimeter focal length in a 610 millimeter tube is by adjusting the optical path with one of those correcting lenses. Some of you watching this may already own one of these, and that's okay. Yes, these are a weaker design, but they still function as telescopes. And now you know why your experience always felt a little off with it. Just don't chase it with new eyepieces or expensive accessories. The ceiling is the ceiling, and no upgrade you have is going to raise it. Enjoy the scope for what it is, know its limits, and don't let it define what this hobby can be for you. If you know someone who's shopping for their first telescope, send them this video. It may save them hundreds of dollars and months of frustration. And if you're still in the market for a telescope yourself, I made a video specifically for that decision. Something I call the Stargazer's Dilemma. It'll save you from exactly this mistake. Check it out here. Until next time, fellow Voyagers, never stop exploring.